Hello. Today I'm going to respond to a viewer who asked me to comment or do a short video on Fajin, the explosive energy release in Tai Chi. Well, the first thing we should start with in regards to speaking about energy, there is only one energy. However, there are unlimited ways to express it. Thus, the various terminologies to explain or to express these different type of energies. Pulling energy, pressing energy, pushing energy, Fajin, explosive energy, Longjin, uh, whatever. There's many ways to try to explain what's being expressed. But energy is energy, and there's only one type of energy. There's only one energy itself, but it can be expressed in a multitude of ways. Sometimes there's a mixture of methodologies going on when expressing energies. Now, when it comes to expressing this energy in as as individuals know it, let's say in push hands, for instance, you're doing a movement like push or press, some sort of a issuance of this energy, sending the person back. These energies can be looked at two ways. One is Fajin, which is considered a pulse energy. The other types of energy where you see individuals get pushed out or away and they go a distance, that's the energy being expressed in a pressure, a gradual buildup of pressure that goes out. And that's Longjin, which is less injurious type of energy. Now, when I say Longjin is less injurious, I don't mean that you cannot be injured by it. You most certainly can. But in most cases, the injury is going to be a result of what happens after you get pushed or the energy has been released. In other words, you get pushed and sent into a wall. You get pushed and violently fall to the floor. Or you go into some other object, you lose your balance and fall in an awkward way and injure yourself. But in general, it is not a injury due to the actual release of the pressure, rise, push, or press, or whatever, in and of itself. On the other hand, Fajin is something that most people who practice Tai Chi seem to have an interest in because it has this connotation of being immediately dangerous, or it's the pinnacle of issuing energy. And it's a benchmark that shows that you have reached a really high level of Tai Chi when you can, excuse me, Fajin. I'm not sure that I exactly agree with that, but it seems to be a common thought process amongst many people. So, with the thought of one energy being a pressurized energy of more pressure and the other being a pulse, let's look at both energies have something in common, meaning you have to use whole body energy, meaning that the entire body is coordinated. You're not using, excuse me, what would normally be referred to as Li, or muscular strength, or the qualities of the individual muscles exerting themselves to accomplish a common task. You also would be using what's called the ground strength, using something that's not going to move, that's going to brace your efforts. So when you put pressure against it or force against it, it's not going to move. It's going to solidify what you're doing. And if you're relaxed, that solidification can come out the other end, meaning the upper body. So therefore, the upper body has to be relaxed. And this goes into the whole ideal of Tai Chi is done in the waist and legs, and it's expressed through the upper limbs. Now, when trying to explain Fajin, I like to use the analogy of giving someone CPR. And I'm sure most of you are familiar or have seen it and probably have even trained in it. And there's doing CPR properly and there's doing it improperly. Now, I'm not an expert, a medical expert on CPR or anything else. However, in my line of work, we are regularly trained and certified in it. Improperly would be to place your hands on the area where you're going to give the pressure and give these compressions, these pulses. But you don't do what I'm doing here, where you're doing it from the arms, the isolated muscles. You would wear out very quickly if you had to perform CPR for some time and you didn't have any relief or help. Your arm muscles will get quite tired. So therefore, you would incorporate the same mechanism that Tai Chi incorporates, and that's using whole body and ground strength. So you would be in a position to be over the individual, whether it's on your knees or standing if they're on some sort of a table or something, and locking your arms, not locking them straight out, but not using the arms, and then rocking from the ground, bringing the force from your feet and applying the whole body force onto the individual, creating that pulse. And you can do this for quite a while before tiring out. Not only that, but you can also create quite a force because it's the whole body involved, all of your body weight, and you're actually creating the compression from the ground, from your feet, or from your root, as in Tai Chi. So when we're executing this Fajin, this explosive energy, it's a short movement, much as CPR is. We don't follow through with the movement in CPR. And in Longjing, when we execute it, there's a little more follow through with it because we're not trying to have this explosive release of force for whatever reason. We're practicing with someone, or we're not trying to create a large amount of damage. But in Fajin, there's a very short burst of energy. And as in Tai Chi says, that in the beginning, everything is a matter of feet and inches. And later, it can become a matter of centimeters and millimeters. So you can learn to do a movement like press or push, and it's going to be a larger movement. In other words, you're going to cover more distance in the movement. But as you become more knowledgeable about how everything works together and how to use the pressure from the ground force, and coordinate everything, you just need a very short distance, or in fact, no distance at all, just as CPR does not require you to have any distance to come crashing down on their chest to be effective. In Tai Chi, we don't need to build momentum up to express this energy. You can place your hand on the person and utilizing that whole body energy and that pressure and somewhat of a rocking motion from the ground to exert that force. And we can do it very quickly and very small. And that is what makes it an explosive energy. Now, what makes Fajin inherently more dangerous than Longjin? Well, as I said, Longjin, you aren't necessarily being harmed by the push, let's say, itself. We're talking about some sort of a push. It's kind of what happens after that, the way it takes you in an awkward way over your center and makes you fall and hurt yourself or crash into something, et cetera, et cetera. When one does short jin or Fajin, they absorb the greater amount of the energy because they don't have the ability to move with the method, the technique, so to speak. If I'm coming in and covering more distance, I can catch you, and as I follow through with pressure, I get to move with it at least for a moment. So some of the energy, I'm not catching all of the energy because I can move with it. It's like if we were boxing and someone hit me and I rolled with it, I would not catch all of the energy. However, if someone put their hand on the other side of my head and held it there and then hit me so that my head couldn't move, I would absorb most, if not all, of the oncoming energy. And that is what occurs in Fajin. Their feet, they're settled in their feet, their weight is settled, and you catch them and you boom, short, and they can't move. They can't get out of the way. They don't see it coming because it came from a touch. It didn't come from a distance and follow through, thereby going directly into them and creating all kind of issues, whether it's broken ribs or some other issue that this very quick and strong compression can create. So many individuals look at Fajin as some sort of mystery, where just as everything else in Tai Chi is very scientific, if you look at why it works, it makes sense scientifically. So what we're looking at is a very quick and explosive compression into an individual who doesn't have the time or ability to react to it, to let some of its properties not penetrate, thereby causing damage from the thing itself, the pressure itself. Remember, unlike the Longjin, not necessarily being injured from the push itself, but from what occurs from being pushed with such force, that pressure. But in Fajin, the damage is known to occur from the thing itself. So that is an explanation, or should give you some idea of what Fajin is. And I'm sorry, I can't remember the individual's name that asked the question. However, it should give you some indication of what it is and how it's used and why it has the effects that it does. So again, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.